Right, we're going to finish at 1.8 with some translation. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise here. The practice plus, we're going to take what we are learning about exponents and order of operations and practice some translation. So instructions say expresses a single numerical expression, then simplifies. So there's not going to be algebra involved. This is just numbers. And a single expression, meaning you're going to put this all together. It's two sentences, so there's two different mathematical things happening. We're going to combine it into one expression. So everything's going to be put together. And then we'll simplify it, meaning then we're going to put it even. Then we're going to go ahead and perform the order of operations that are there. So let's do that by starting to read. Cube negative 5, pause, stop, subtract this exponential expression from negative 100, period. So two things happening, we're going to get it into one numerical expression. Deep breath. Let's read this again. Cube negative 5, subtract this exponential expression from negative 100. So as I keep in mind my goal is an expression, so there's no equal sign here. And it's going to be all numbers. Then I'm going to simplify. So I've got two answers that I'm going for. And let's see what kind of keywords information I'm seeing. I'm seeing cube negative 5. That means I'm going to raise negative 5 to the third power here. So I'm seeing this part right here as its own little mini translation. Negative 5 to the third. Notice that I put negative 5 in parentheses because I'm cubing that entire piece. So I need to completely express that. I need to communicate that to anybody else who might be looking at this paper, that the entire number, negative 5, is being cubed, meaning it's going to get multiplied times itself 3 times. Negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. That's what to the third or cubed means. Next I'm seeing subtract. Okay. Subtract what? Well, I'm subtracting something, this exponential expression. So what I just did, I'm going to subtract this from negative 100. There's that subtract from that we've seen so many times. I'm subtracting something from something else. Okay? So if you need to, think of numbers. Well, which order does that go? Is that going to be the exponential expression minus the negative 100, or is that negative 100 minus the exponential expression? Okay, so if I have, you know, you might want to try it just in simpler algebra now. If I have subtract A from B, that might be all. You may have done enough now that you go, oh yeah, that means B minus A. Okay, if you aren't sure though, if you're still trying to question, is that B minus A or A minus B, try some simple numbers. Say, okay, let's say I've got subtract, let's do 7 from 10. Okay, if I'm taking 7 away from 10, subtract 7 from 10, I have 10 strawberries. I'm subtracting 7 from them to take in my lunch today. I expect that there'd be 3 left over. Well, how do I get that? Is that going to be 10 minus 7, or is that 7 minus 10? It's 10 minus 7 that gives me that. It's the second piece minus the first piece. It's the B minus the A. So this is the one we want to use. So I'm subtracting, well, what does that mean in this particular situation? Well, I'm subtracting something. This is like my A value, my A from my negative 100 in terms of this. I'm not giving it algebra here. I'm just trying to relate it to what I figured out here. So it needs to be the negative 100 minus this exponential expression. So it needs to be negative 100 minus the exponential expression. X, that's a funny abbreviation. Okay. Well, what is that? That's your negative 5 cubed. So it's negative 100 minus, in parentheses, negative 5 cubed. There's your single expression. Sorry, I used up the space there. Now to simplify, order of operations says I do the powers first here. So I've got negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. I've got 3 negatives. My answer is going to be negative. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So I've got negative 100 minus the result of this negative 5 cubed is also a negative 125. So I'm negative 100 minus the negative 125. Well, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So really what I'm doing here is I'm adding the opposite. I've got negative 100 plus 125. So you take 125 minus 100. That's 25. Keep the sign of the bigger number. This answer is positive 25. So in the back of the book you'll have an expression, negative 100 minus negative 5 cubed. That's the straight translation. Then as you work it through to a single value, you should end up at positive 25. Alright, then let's see, how am I doing on screen space? Yep, I have room to do number 96 as well. Expresses a single algebraic expression, then simplify. Okay, now the game has changed a little bit. Now I can expect variables to show up. And again, we're going to simplify, meaning deal with any parentheses, combine like terms. Okay, that's what we mean by simplify. So get rid of any parentheses, and then we're looking to combine like terms. We may have to distribute or maybe just multiply to do the parentheses. Let's read. Cube a number, subtract 6 from this exponential expression, multiply this difference by 4. You can see now why they're talking about a single algebraic expression. We've got 3 different sentences here. Those could be translated into 3 separate expressions. Okay, and that might be how we start, and then we figure out how to combine it. So deep breath. Let's pull this together. Cube a number, subtract 6 from this exponential expression, and then multiply this difference by 4. So cube a number, let's deal with that first. Let's call the number x, and we're going to cube it. So my first sentence translates to x cubed. My second sentence, subtract 6 from this exponential expression. Subtract 6 from that. Well, we just did that. Subtract something from that. It's the reverse order when you say subtract this from that. Okay, so subtract 6 from that exponential expression. So my second sentence gives me that exponential expression minus 6. So we can start moving that into place here. We take that exponential expression, x cubed minus 6. So there's my second sentence now translated, added to that first sentence, brought together. Third sentence says multiply this difference by 4. Difference means subtraction. Okay, but we're multiplying it by 4. So my third sentence means I'm going to take 4 times the difference. And the difference is sitting right over here. This x squared minus 6 is the difference. So it translates here to our final result is that 4 times. Notice to represent the times I put everything into those parentheses so that it's truly 4 times that entire difference, that entire subtraction. Now that is our, remember we're looking for 2 answers here. Here's the algebraic expression. And now our second goal is to simplify that. Simplify means we need to get rid of any parentheses. It might involve distribution, and in this case it certainly does, because we can't go any further inside the parentheses. We can't, there's nothing order of operations can do for us. So we're going to go ahead and distribute that 4. One way of looking at that is to be 4 times x squared. Bring that minus straight down and then ignore it as you do the 4 times 6. That's one way. Or you could make it plus a negative, then it'd be plus that comes down 4 times negative 6. Either way, when it's all said and done, you're going to end up with 4x squared minus 24. Or if you had changed it to plus and minus, you might end up with 4x squared plus a negative 24. These are exactly the same. Either version is going to be fine. Okay, just begin to really convince yourself that those are equivalent statements. Okay, we'll see you at the bottom of page 4.